Hi everyone, I'm Nate.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael.
And welcome back to the Olympic Ultras podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure that you're following us or subscribing to us on YouTube and Spotify, and make sure that you're following us on our Instagram to follow our journey. That's Olympic FC Ultra, Olympic FC _ Ultras on Instagram. Just before we get into it too much, there's a couple of things I want to chat about. Number one was there was a absolutely beautiful article put up about us this week.
The article.
Which we were very honoured and humble to be contacted by the club to do the interview on. And if you haven't seen it yet, make sure that you jump on the Olympic socials or the Olympic website. You can find it there, but you can also find it. I've pinned it to our link tree in our Instagram bio.
And thank you to Josh. It was a really wonderful article. It was put together.
Written.
It was basically co-organised by his friend in the UK, Rory, who was, I believe, a journalist. So it was really well done, and we're a bit embarrassed, but it's wonderful. I thought it was a great article. Well done.
Yeah, and it's the starting of the Olympic and Me stories. So stories of people who make Olympic what it is.
Yep.
So keep an eye out for that. There'll be more to come. We do know of a few of the names, but we're not going to spoil anything.
No,
make sure that you keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, so no, fantastic. Well done, everyone.
Cool. So let's kick off with the first half. All right, so we're going to review the Wednesday night games that we didn't get to touch last podcast due to rescheduling issues.
Correct.
So first one is Logan Lightning 0, Olympic 3. So this was thanks to a 19th minute Kiz Phillips goal. Header as usual.
As usual. What you've done.
Absolute Kiz special. 29-minute Eva Heron goal and an 87-minute Laney Sunderland goal.
And wow, what a goal that was!
That was a fantastic goal.
That was up there with some of the best I've seen.
Yeah,
it was just the cross come across, and she just met it sweetly.
Absolutely
beautiful
fantastic.
Goal.
Yeah. For me, Tess Buzzer, she sort of goes under the radar as a bit of an unsung hero in my opinion. She's constantly running up and down that wing. Also, Sophia Cuba plays her side, so she's constantly got to keep running up and down because Cuba's constantly putting a beautiful ball in for her. Cuba wasn't on this match for Logan Lightning, so Tess probably had a nice little easy game off.
Yeah, but,
but yeah, the way she plays is just absolutely fantastic, and for me, she's helping the defense out. Then she's hassling the other defenders, and then she's back and forth and back and forth.
She's a great club steward, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly right. And another game where she put in an incredible effort in.
Yeah, again, it was just good to watch.
Yeah.
I unfortunately watched it from afar. I was away on business, but to me, Lauren was my player. After having 2 second half substitutions in previous matches, she was put into the first 11. And I thought she played really, really well. Her passing, her running, her tackling, I thought she was great. I thought she I was really pleased with her effort.
Yeah, and it's good to see her back into the squad because we've talked about this before. We have such a star-studded lineup. When she had to step away for her injury, I believe it was, to get back into that squad, not only are you fighting people like Vic Franklin, Sophia Cuba.
I know, right?
But then you're also fighting the midfield because Kiz is usually up in midfield, but our midfield has been so good that Kiz has had to be playing in centre back as well. So to get back into that squad and try to make a name for yourself all over again,
she's done well, and she was selected, and she stepped up and done the job beautifully.
Yeah,
so my
clean sheet and everything. So
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then came straight from the game. Olympic FC 6, the Gap 1. 2 goals from Sarah Daly in the 13th and the 67th. 2 goals from Georgia Muir as well in the 45th and the 63rd, as well as a Eve Swain goal in the 23rd and an absolute cracker of a goal by Rio.
Wow.
In the 41st.
Mate, she just lined it up like a snooker player. She had that shot lined up and bang.
And she's been threatening that in a couple of games I've noticed.
She has, She's tried a couple of times. It's just been short.
Yeah.
But tonight,
this time
everything
just whistled into the top
together.
corner. It was absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant to watch,
But for me, And I think we were talking about this on the way home, and I think we agreed. For me, this standout game was Georgia.
Yeah, I have to agree. Sorry.
Georgia Mura, number 10. 2 goals, at least 1 assist from memory, which I believe was the Eve Swain goal.
Yes.
She's probably gotten another assist in there. Absolutely storming game. She seemed really, really up for it. She was beating 3, 4, 5 defenders on her way through.
And her ball skills, the ball was like glued to her feet. She was running in and out of players, running out and passing the ball off, and running into open space to receive passes from the likes of Cuba.
Yep.
Just tremendous. I thought she had a great game tonight.
Fantastic game. And, of course, tonight was a quarterfinal of the Kappa Pro Series.
Yes.
So
semis, here we come.
We make it through to the semi-finals. It's already been drawn, so we're playing against Kappa. I'm not too sure exactly when or where that game will be right now. But we know our opponent, and it is Kappa.
Yep.
But this yet another 2 matches. No draws, no losses.
No.
Only wins.
It's crazy.
And Cam got an award for that.
And congratulations to him. He thoroughly deserves it.
Thoroughly deserves
man,
Coach of the Month for March and April, which I believe they're sort of squashing together considering all the weather issues.
Yeah, he's done such a tremendous job. I mean, he has those girls running like a whirling machine.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. And you can tell because I think we've only conceded 2 goals in the league.
I think so, yeah.
I think we've only conceded a handful of goals in the Kappa Pro Series. I think apart from tonight, the last goal we conceded was against QAS in the Queensland Cup.
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Well deserved, Cam. Brilliant.
And well deserved, Cam. Congratulations on that award. And now we need to look forward to, funnily enough, Kappa this weekend.
Back in the league.
In the league itself. So that is at John Fredericks Park on the 7th of June at 7:30. Now, this is a game that we have covered before. They got rained out. Surprise, surprise.
Yes, shock.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Raining in Queensland. Wow.
The Sunshine State.
Yeah.
But, of course, we'll review it again because a lot has changed since then. So, of course, we've been waiting for this game for some time. Kappa has sort of emerged as one of the 3 front runners. We came into this knowing that Caboolture was going to be difficult. We obviously had amassed a really good squad. Kappa has really sort of stepped up and announced themselves as, this is going to be a team to sort of fear or keep an eye out on. So it's really, really good that we've got that. We also have a slight safety net here because Caboolture and Kappa had a draw not too long ago.
Yeah.
So, and because we've won every game that we've come across, even if they were to, win all their catch-up games, they still wouldn't catch us in points. So we have a slight safety net there, but it's still too tight for my liking.
Yeah, no, I'm still not happy with the Kappa game coming up. I think it's going to be tough and it's going to be tense. Again, it's one of those games that will test our mettle.
Yep.
We've said it before. We said it against QSS and we were slightly blown out of the water.
Yeah.
But I think Kappa will be different killerfish.
Yeah. I mean, we also said about the gap of the fact that they had to turn up for this one as well. And
and they wanted it tonight as much as we did.
Yeah. And a fairly similar result to the QAS match.
Our class was just there. I'm sorry, it was just there.
Yeah, exactly right. But, this is going to be a real good test, in my opinion, on our concentration.
Yeah.
Our composure as well, making sure we don't take things for granted.
Yep.
And making sure that, we are a team that will go the distance.
And I think one of the key elements is keeping the ball.
Yeah.
If we can keep the ball, start them off the ball, moving across the back line, straight through the lines, I think we'll do better.
Yeah.
But we've got to hold on to that ball because I don't want to give them an inch.
Yeah, and I will say, thinking back, casting your mind back a little bit, there's been a couple of games where we're really tight, but we managed to scrape away. Caboolture being one of them, Grange Thistle being one of them, which was a little bit of a shock back then. We haven't had one of those for a while.
No.
We've controlled all the matches that we've had since and scored pretty prolifically.
Yeah, it generally takes us about 5 to 10 minutes to get the run of the game.
Yeah, I know. We're a little bit late tonight. It was the 12th.
It was 12 minutes. So the girls are a bit slack there, scoring in the 12th minute. But, we seem to start the game, we sum up the game really well, and then just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And
it's total pressure.
Yeah, total pressure from there.
Yeah. Well, we'll go into the form of Kappa. As we've sort of alluded to, their form is pretty star-studded. 4 wins and a draw in their last 5. They actually do have a game Wednesday night, so the night before this podcast will air. But of course, we are doing the recording on the Tuesday night, so we don't actually know the current result of that. But make sure that you look up the result of that. But the 5 before tomorrow night's game is 6-4 over Virginia United in the Queensland Cup, 6-0 against North Brisbane in the league, 3-1 over Grange in the Kappa Pro Series quarterfinal. Of course, our quarterfinal was rained out, so they played theirs a lot earlier than we did. 2-0 defeat against Lions in the Queensland Cup. I am counting this as a win because Lions did field an ineligible player. Rookie mistake. But I believe you said you watched this match. You saw the highlights.
I did still watch that game. Kappa surprised me. I didn't think they performed as well as their position would believe me they'd play well. Very sluggish off the ball. Their passing wasn't great. Their running wasn't great. It just didn't seem the team that would... And because they conceded 2 goals quite easily. Again, I mean, they won it on default. But on the night, Lions are all over them. They didn't have an answer.
And I mean, Lions, of course, are an NPL team.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
It's going to be a difficult match to fight anyway. But
you go to a game, when you start, when the whistle goes, you're equal.
Yeah, exactly right. Every game starts 0-0.
Every game starts 0-0. But Kappa just seemed to go, it's Lions.
Yeah.
And I don't think their heart was in it. And they didn't impress me, sorry.
That's fair enough. But they did get through on default, which is fantastic for them. They then, as we mentioned before, they then drew 1-1 with Caboolture. We actually thought, I think it was Kapalaba actually won. This is what we thought because the feed screwed up. If you've gone back to all you did watch that, you'll know what we're talking about. And like I said, back in the league, they have a catch-up game on Wednesday night, so against Morn City Excelsior. So hopefully they'll be a little bit tired.
Things might go our way. We've got the extra day up our sleeve. We played tonight, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got a bit more rest. Players seem to come through the game okay.
And we rotated quite heavily tonight.
We did. I think the only one we had problem was Lainey. She seemed to hobble off a little bit.
Yeah, Lainey hobbled off a little bit. Hopefully she recovers quite well.
So it was just probably a little niggle.
Yeah, and Vic came off at half time. Vic Franklin didn't even play.
No.
So we rested some pretty key members.
Yeah, Brio come off.
Yep.
Captain Kiz come off.
Yep. Sarah came off.
Yep, Sarah came off.
Before our tricks, I'm sure she's given a little bit to Cam tonight.
So she should.
Yeah, exactly. But just to give a quick overview of exactly where Kapalaba is, so they are currently sitting in 2nd place behind us. They've only played the 5 matches though, 4 wins, 1 draw, 15 goals for. So a lot of goals for in the league, only 4 against. But as I sort of alluded to earlier, in such of like the Queensland Cup, they can concede. They do have.
Yeah, it was 6-4 against.
It was 6-4 against Virginia United, so a fellow FQPL 1 team.
Yeah,
it would have been a really, really goals galore.
From an outsider's point of view, what a great game to watch.
Yeah, exactly right. From a neutral standpoint,
6-4, wow,
edge of the seat stuff. Kappa Pro Series, Kapalaba actually made it through, I believe, as one of the better 2nd place teams. They defeated Penn Power and Southside Eagles, but they lost against North Brisbane, which was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, considering North Brisbane, I mean, we played them earlier.
And as usual, controlled them all.
Very well, yeah.
Again, of course, they played Grange Thistle in the quarterfinals. That was a little bit earlier, and now they are due to play us. In the semi.
I don't think that'll be too far away because the congestion of games, I want to get that through pretty quick. But again, as Nathan said, we're not too sure about a date at this stage. So.
Yeah, exactly right. And in the Queensland Cup, they defeated the Rainbow Eagles and Virginia United before succumbing to the loss against Lions, as we were just discussing. But managed to get through, and they are due to play Brisbane City in the quarterfinal, which will be rough. That is one of the better teams, obviously, in the NPL. I believe they just signed the retiring goalkeeper from the Brisbane Royal women's team.
Oh, have they? I didn't know that. Wow.
So
that's a nice up your sleeve.
Yeah, exactly right. So that Brisbane City are incredible.
They're a good
team.
side. I mean, the club itself,
They're a strong club.
They are a strong club.
Both men's, women's,
juniors. They're a very strong club. So
yeah,
hats off to them. But that'll be interesting game to watch.
That will be an interesting game to watch. Hopefully, it's playing on different times so that we can sit down and watch that after we watch the Olympic game.
On the FQTV.
Yep. But yeah, so again, we've talked about it before, but on paper, this looks like it could be a really cracking match.
Yeah, for sure.
First v second. The last time we played the team that was sort of trying to challenge us was against Caboolture, and that was a really, really tense match.
It was a tense match.
Ended with a Cuba penalty.
Yep. Up at their home.
And yeah, that was a really, really tight match. So hopefully we get a fairly similar one, but a little bit more of a comfortable result.
but as we alluded to a little while ago, I mean, Rio come off, his come off, Victoria, Franklin didn't play.
Yep.
So we had some players rested.
Yeah. And Cam's not silly.
No, Cam's not silly. He knows what he's doing. So we had that slight advantage of having our better players having a little bit extra rest, a little bit extra freshness.
Yep.
I think we'll do okay.
I think we'll do okay.
I can't really see Kappa being a problem for us.
Fantastic.
We shouldn't predict games, but
we shouldn't predict games. We're not good at it.
No, but I think this one will be over and done with.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so just a quick reminder, that is Saturday, 7th of June at 7:30 p.m. at John Fredericks Park at Kappa. Make sure you get down and support the girls.
Yeah, they deserve it. They're a great team to watch.
Yeah.
They're a great bunch of people.
Yeah, they are. Lovely bunch of people. So in the men, there's only one game to review, and that is St George Willawong 2, Olympic 4. A little bit of... It was an interesting match to be a part of.
Yes, you were at that game. Unfortunately, I was again away on business.
Yep.
So
hopefully you're lost.
I can promise you that. So I watched it on YouTube.
Yep.
And it was a good game to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very tight, very tense at times. I think there's a lot of niggling, especially a lot of abuse from the crowd, from the St George crowd.
Yeah,
they seem to be a bit wild and woolly out there.
St George seems to be one of the, at least in my opinion, this is obviously coming from an Olympic fan as well, one of the very few clubs that we've been to, or I've been to now, that really held on to its ethnic roots. We're talking Serbian music at the start. We're talking a lot of people all the way around the fence, the thick accents and everything. Referee would make a call in a Winter Olympics where there was shouting coming from the crowd.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, and it was in a lot of ways a really intimidating atmosphere, which is fantastic. But small pitch, the crowd's right on top of you. It's
and coming from someone like myself who's been around football since I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
As a Sydney lad, you come into the New South Wales Old State League back then. You had your Croatias, you had your Hellenics, you had your Ugals and your Pragues and all those clubs. And it was such a sad day when Australianised it.
Yeah, I know.
It was like cutting a massive tie, and it was not good for the game.
No.
I believe it wasn't good for the game because all those people who founded those clubs and loved those clubs was like, well, who's this?
Yeah, exactly right.
I follow Ugal. Who's this?
Yeah.
And there's that lost identity. I'm glad clubs have held on to that. I really am today.
Yeah, as someone who obviously didn't get to see that, my introduction to football was all the Australian names and things like that. I'm still surprised when I, do a bit of a wiki search on a particular club and find out what their old ethnic name was, because they've Australianized it. They've gotten rid of a lot of the ethnic ties and things like that. They've maybe kept the colours or something.
Yeah, they have kept the colours, which is nice.
Which is really, really cool. But I would love to see that core as well.
Yeah, I'd like them all changed back.
Yeah. So to be a part of that, and thankfully, politically, historically, Serbia and Greece has a really good relationship. So although it was a little bit intimidating, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
But of course, that also makes it a bit of fun too.
Exactly right.
I've been to a lot of games where in Sydney where Olympic are playing Croatia.
Yeah.
Croatia are playing Ugal. It was wow.
Yeah.
But there was, in saying all that, there was no violence.
No.
Except one game.
Which is not allowed to go back to.
That's a story for another day. But it created that noise and atmosphere. It was brilliant.
That tense rivalry.
Yeah, and let's face it, when they Australianised it, the crowds didn't improve.
No.
So I don't know if it was the Australian Football Federation's own ego, or they just got pressure from the public, but the public never turned up.
Yeah, exactly right. But it is what it is.
Bring the ethnic games back.
So this was, like I said, it was 2-4 to Olympic. Hiroshi Miyazawa goal, 14th minute. He's really starting to come back into his own from his injury.
Yeah, he's done well, and he's improving game by game.
Yeah, put away a couple of goals, which is fantastic. Daniel Leck, which was good to see him back into the fold. He, I believe, was out with illness in the previous game against Brisbane Roar. Then St George came out firing. I believe this player came on at halftime and immediately showed up in the 46th minute. Sazdo Georgiev, I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing incorrectly, from the 46th minute. Jack Hudson from the 53rd minute from halfway.
Mate, Jack. Mate.
We've had quite a few halfway goals in the NPL this season.
Hey?
2 from Olympic, Daniel Leck, and now Jack Hudson.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect too.
Yeah.
You can't even have a go at the free kick because the ball was stopped. He didn't have to settle it.
Right.
He just took it, and it was absolutely perfect.
And the vision.
Like
Daniel Leck's goal against Sunny Coast in the start of the season. Jack's gone, I can pop this.
I can pop this. I can get it over.
And he had the confidence to hit it, and hit it beautifully. Had great weight. It had great direction. Yeah.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant.
Lathan Dunn in the 59th minute with another goal. Absolutely fantastic. And then 87th minute, just to make it just a little bit tense at the end, Sazdo Georgiev pops up again.
Yeah.
So, St George didn't go away. They were on a little bit of a hot streak as well. They won a couple of games on the bounce.
Yep.
But yeah, they didn't go away, and they did make it hard for us at times. That being said, I got to give my player of the match to Lathan Dunn.
I'd have to agree. I mean, very closely followed by Hiroshi. I mean, his playmaking style in the middle of the field, he just directed play really well. So if anyone, I'd probably go Lathan at first, but Hiroshi very close.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, Lathan gets a goal, gets an assist as well. He's got 2 speeds, which is full on or on the floor because a defender's taken him out.
Oh, that man could date his bruises.
I know.
The amount of times he gets kicked down.
I know.
It's crazy.
We mentioned, I think it was the game before, which was the Brisbane Roar game, he was hobbling away, and we've got, oh, God, here we go.
God.
And then he was lining up against St George, and he got kicked a couple of times. He was hobbling away, and then he was back at full speed. So more machine than man, Lathan Dunn.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, without a doubt. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely
what a player.
fantastic.
And on the pitch, he's always shouting out and encouraging and doing this and doing that. He's a great leader as well.
Yeah, he's always talking, and even if the ball's on the other end of the pitch, he's always trying to offer advice and try to get that ball moving forward. And
which is great because he's not resented by the players.
No.
And we all accept that. And everyone's trying to do their best.
Yeah,
and
exactly
that's just his way of showing it. And I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fantastic to see. Cool. So moving on to our games to preview, we are playing Moreton City Excelsior yet again at Walter Park on.
I wish I get relegated.
7th of June.
Seriously.
7th of June at 7 p.m. So this is another clash with the women's game, unfortunately, but that's just how the crumbles in regards to fixtures.
Yeah. I've run Football Queensland. I can't help it.
Yeah. So this is either a revenge of Moreton City or a chance for Olympic to pile on a little bit more misery?
Well, as we said, I think it was last week in last week's podcast, Moreton City aren't travelling very well.
They're not. They lost their influential defender, Reese Gwynn-Jones.
Yeah, so they are in a little bit of trouble. Our lads have got 3 on the trot, and they are firing.
Yeah, they are.
The team is gelling really well, and we're still waiting players to come back.
Yeah, we are from illness as well. There's a bit of illness that runs through our squad.
I think the headspace that the boys are in now is really positive.
Yep.
They know they can go out there and do these games. And I don't think Moreton City will have any fear against them. No. I think we'll take it and we'll do this game.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really believe that.
So yeah, with the suffering of the injury, Reese, the Moreton City just haven't been the same.
No, they're just like, I mean, one player doesn't make a team, but in this case,
exactly
it seems
right.
to have.
It really seems to have derailed their campaign.
It's like one of the wheels have fallen off.
Yeah, it really has seemed to derail their campaign a little bit. Of course, when I'm talking about the revenge or us piling on more, I'm talking about the Queensland Cup game that was played not too long ago where we won 2-1 and knocked them out of the chance.
Was that 2-1? We won 2-1?
We won 2-1. I think it was 2-1.
Just remind you. It was 2-1.
Just give me one sec. Yeah, I've got 2-1 written down on my notes. Just really want to soak in that result.
Yeah, I want to bring it in.
Again, and obviously we've had our fair share of injuries as well. Again, with the illness that ran through the squad, even against St George, we had Daniel Driver, Lyndon Farr, who actually hurt himself. He wasn't ill. He actually hurt himself in the Brisbane Roar match. Felix sitting on the bench as well. Sitting on the sidelines in the stands as well. So, we've had our fair share of injuries.
Certainly have.
Hopefully they're coming back. And we seem to be in a really, really good spot at the moment.
I think so. We're doing really well. And Grossi's just got them right.
Yeah. Actually, I got a chance to listen to his full-time talk against St George, and I really appreciate some of the things he was saying. He was talking about how there's so many matches happening over and over and over, like all crammed in together. There's professional teams in Europe who don't even play this many games in a row simply because of all the rescheduling and everything like that.
And some of those teams in Europe have like 60 games a year.
Yeah, and they've got a squad of 30, 35 players that they can choose from, not a squad of 20 or 16 with a couple of juniors thrown in.
Yep.
And some of the things that he was saying to the boys to amp them up, and I really agree with it. I really resonated with, and it was good to see. It was good to see that the other side of it.
He's quite inspirational, isn't he?
He is.
Grossi.
Yeah, we do love to listen to him when we can. If he does his full-time speech on the pitch, I love sitting around and
great to listen to.
Listening to him speak. So, moving on to the form, we did allude to the form of Mourne City not being fantastic.
Yeah.
In the last 5, they've had 2 draws, 2 losses, and 1 win.
Which is
weird for them. It is.
You can bet your house on Moreton City, Riddick.
Yeah,
and that's crazy results.
They set themselves such a high standard, and especially considering their fast-paced start to the season. This is a really, really weird blip and a really prolonged blip.
Yeah, very much like that. Not like them at all.
Yeah. So a 3-3 draw against Penn Power in the league, a 1-1 draw against Wynnum Wolves in the league. In the Queensland Cup, Mourne City 1, Olympic 2. 2-1.
2-1? Was that 2-1?
2-1. Okay. St George Willawong 3, Mourne City 1. That was when St George were on that really big,
which is a hell of a result.
That's a fantastic result. They just came from beating Sunshine Coast as well, so they actually started getting
that momentum going.
A couple of wins in the league. And then Mourne City won 4-3 against Brisbane City on the weekend. High scoring affair. Again, I did watch a bit of it, and it was a little bit of back and forth and things like that. They did manage to get 4-1 up, and then Brisbane City scored a couple of goals late to make it really difficult.
Credit to City.
Yeah, exactly. Considering they're not exactly hot on form at the moment either.
No, exactly right.
Mourne City also play another game on Wednesday night, so obviously the night before this podcast will go live against Rochdale Rovers, so I don't know what the result of that is. But Rochdale Rovers is also on a bit of a hot streak. They're also in the Queensland Cup, one step away from glory, from the Australia Cup as well.
Exactly.
So good on them, going from FQPL 1 and really punching high. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So good for the club, good for the players.
Exactly. And who knows, Mourne City might be in a little bit more trouble.
Yeah.
So, but as we mentioned in the league, they did really come out of the gates in the league very, very quickly. However, have petered off. So in the 9 games that they've played, they've won 5, drawn 2, lost 2. 19 goals for. This is going to surprise you. 15 goals against. I get that influential defender.
Yeah, that is so unlike them.
It's very, very odd.
But you think with a club like Moreton City, who have always had very strong juniors and very strong club players coming through, there's no one there to fit that role.
Exactly. And they've now joined with Albany Creek Excelsior. They were 2 clubs for a while. They sort of shared and mingled and things like that. But Ace has always been one of those clubs where like some of the best juniors played.
Oh, without a doubt. And I've had my runnings with Ace players, Ace teams over the years.
Exactly.
They're not an easy outfit.
They're not an easy outfit. So for them to finally join together, and I imagine, because Ace were always lower, the seniors were always lower, but Moreton City or Moreton Bay were always higher.
Yeah.
The Ace juniors who did well enough would go straight to Moreton Bay.
Correct.
So now that they've joined together, it's all one pathway for them. But again, it shows that they do have that really good academy set up.
Exactly, yeah.
The fact that there's no one that can really seem to fill this role, or at least
really
fill it to the role, almost competent. But
obviously, they're not as high caliber as the lad that's missing, but still.
Yeah. And just to really throw another spanner in the works, they're still currently second.
I know, figure it out.
This NPL, with the amount of games that have been missed, some teams have played 10, some teams have played 6.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. You can win 2 games and you go from bottom of the ladder to fifth.
Top. Yeah.
It's so tight, it's so compact, you can't judge it.
It's almost like I'm looking forward to July, August, so it all starts to peter out.
When everyone's sort of caught up to each other.
We're all even again. To see where everyone stands.
Yeah, exactly. They did finish second in their Kappa Pro Series group and got through. Our Kappa Pro Series group. They were in our group.
They were.
They defeated us, unfortunately, Southside Eagles and Holland Park, and they succumbed to a defeat against Caboolture. One of the reasons why we were very scared of going up to Caboolture for the men's side.
Yeah.
And finally drawing against the eventual group winners, Gold Coast United, to finish second. Since made the quarterfinal, as I mentioned earlier, against Rochdale Rovers. Make sure you check out that result as well if you're interested as a neutral fan. In the Queensland Cup, Moreton City came to the competition in the 4th round, as most NPL teams do, defeating Calandra and Newmarket before... 2-1. 2-1 against Olympic.
Oh, wow, 2-1?
Yeah, it was 2-1.
Great result that was.
Yeah, exactly. But, again, we've talked about their unfortunate blip of form, but it seems to really...
Because look, I'm not a Moreton City fan in any way, shape or form, but they really don't deserve that. They're a much better squad. They've proved that over the last number of seasons. Yeah,
they've been up there for the last few years.
And there's one of those clubs I do fear.
Oh, they're incredible.
Because they play such good football and always have.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this little blip has cost them a chance at the Australia Cup.
Yeah.
Might cost them a chance at the Kappa Pro Series if Rochdale Rovers punch high yet again. And they'll probably ride it in the league eventually. But this little blip, might cost them quite big in regards to the cup competition. So
like I wish all clubs well. Yep. But some are going to fall, some are going to keep on going.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So just to remind you, that game is on Saturday the 7th of June at 7 p.m. at Walter Park at Moreton City Excelsior. So if you can, make sure that you go down and support the boys as well.
Yep.
Unfortunately, again, this is one of those days that you do have to choose who you want to go to.
As we said a couple of weeks ago, toss a coin, and go from there.
Go to the game, make sure you support. So
get out there and support the lads and ladies.
All right, fantastic. Well, we'll see you there.
Take care. Look after yourselves. Have a good week.